one of our finest actresses of all time, Meryl Streep. There's so many movies that she's done that we're not going to talk about all of them, obviously. I mean, there's really no list here. It's just like we're talking about movies, so okay. I don't know why it would be honorable mentions, but Julie and Julia, obviously, everyone knows that one.
Yeah, Meryl Streep is great at doing impressions of real people, and Julia Child is, you have to be very specific to nail her, and Meryl did it perfectly. She's incredible in that movie. Her voice and her mannerisms and everything is brilliant.
And she did the same thing in The Iron Lady as well. She started in TV with like the Holocaust thing back in the 70s before she got into movies. But one of her other big miniseries was, I never watched it, but I remember getting all the awards in like 2004, Angels in America.
She plays an angel that comes to visit a man who is dying and seeing things and wondering about life and what's the meaning of life and all that kind of stuff. It's a trippy play, but I think Meryl Streep was the right choice to play a literal angel.
I think it would be hard to rank her performances because each time she brought something different to the role.
And also, like, Meryl Streep can give a really great performance in a, like, not so great movie.
Yeah,
and exactly. You can still, like, so it would be maybe hard to rank. We would be ranking roles maybe, but yeah. I think it's just good to just kind of throw out a lot of the good ones.
Well, speaking of what some people may not consider a good movie, Mamma Mia, there are a lot of people that don't like it but love her performance.
Okay, to those people. Mamma Mia is a wild concept for anything. Let's take a bunch of ABBA songs, put them all together, and make a storyline out of it. But yes, that movie is beautiful. Just beautiful to look at, beautiful to listen to, gotta be honest. Meryl Streep is what makes that movie a legit movie, in my opinion. She brings, and I think that's true for a lot of her movies, you put Meryl Streep in something, and that it, like, validates it. It's like, oh, Meryl Streep's in this. This is an actual film that we're watching, even if it's Mamma Mia singing ABBA songs. I understand people may not like Mamma Mia, but I think Meryl adds a level of, she steps it up a level.
Yeah, some prestige to it.
Yeah.
Sort of, but also you got like Colin Firth in there, Stellan Skarsgård, and Pierce Brosnan. Right. So it's easy to
Amanda
act.
Seyfried, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to act around these other great actors. So that's, I mean, they probably signed on because Meryl signed on.
Right.
So it's like...
She sells it.
And then they did a sequel and...
We don't have to talk about that one.
So next we're going to her first big performance that got basically where she is now, is her performance in The Deer Hunter. And if you don't know what The Deer Hunter is, she plays a bit role in it. She's a supporting actress in it. But basically Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken play two dudes that went to Vietnam and it just messed them up. Hardcore, but they're both in love with Linda, Meryl Streep's character, before Nick, who's played by Christopher Walken, marries her before they go off, and then Mike comes back, but Nick don't know what happened to him, and so it's a heavy movie. A lot of her earlier roles.
I was gonna say, she's in a few of those.
A lot of her earlier roles are heavy.
Yeah.
But without her performance in this to bring like him back to humanity, Robert De Niro's character, it's sort of like would not be as great as it is. Obviously, people remember the Russian roulette scene at the end. Even if you haven't seen that part of the movie, you've seen it parodied in other movies. So, but Meryl Streep, I mean, she got nominated for an Oscar, and it was like her first big movie. So
that's not one that I know.
No,
so
yeah.
Good to know there's things out there that I still need to watch.
But then still sticking back in the old school is Kramer versus Kramer.
Okay, yes.
Which if you've seen Marriage Story, this is the OG Marriage Story. Her and Dustin Hoffman get a divorce, and there's a kid stuck in the middle. And it is
real life stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like no one is the good guy.
Sure.
It's just, it's a complicated thing because sometimes in breakups, people just suck to each other.
Right. And I don't remember the interview, but I've heard her say it multiple times that like when she was first starting out, she was told a lot that she wasn't like a bombshell beauty, like movie star. That's not what she looked like. So Kramer versus Kramer I feel like she's just kind of she's just like an every woman kind of person. If she was a man, we'd call her like an average Joe or whatever. But she feels real.
Yeah.
I think she's beautiful. But that was kind of what she was kind of put in when she was, I think, younger in some of her first roles, where it was like, you're not the like Marilyn Monroe bombshell. You are this like average lady. But she brings so much gravitas to being an average lady.
Next, I'm going to go back new school a little bit. Death Becomes Her.
Okay.
Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn, Meryl Streep.
It's so funny. We were just talking about how real she is. But then also she can like turn it on and play like a witch who's like doing evil magic kind of stuff. So she can do everything. I think is kind of the point.
Yeah, and for a long time she'd just been playing serious roles. So when she did Death Becomes Her, I think it was kind of a flop at the box office, but I was watching on videotape, so I don't know.
Same. We had it in my house, like I said. It used to scare me, but I have learned to love it as an adult.
It's hilarious. Now we're going to go to what probably everyone hopes we talk about is Devil Wears Prada. I mean, there's a lot of iconic acting in this movie, but Meryl Streep is the reason you watch this movie.
Miranda Priestley, the wig she wears in that movie, well, I assume it's a wig, but that white hair, her attitude, the line delivery on this is iconic. Like, there's so many moments in this movie that I think you look to her as like a masterclass in acting in this movie, because it's not like a super serious movie. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's like a chick book that was turned into a movie. And it is about fashion and things people may not see as serious. She is eating up everything about this part.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't care that you may think that this is just like a chick flick that people are going to go watch on a date night. She's like, I am putting everything into being Miranda Priestley.
And I think everyone else, like Stanley Tucci, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, they saw the level of acting that was happening and were like, okay, we got to step it up. And that's why it got so many accolades.
Yeah.
And people love it so much because it transcended its genre.
People still love it too. Yeah. It's not, I mean, you look back and it's a little dated. There's some stuff that dated like pretty badly.
Yeah.
But it's still a good watch every time because they all committed. And I think, like you're saying, top down, starting with Meryl, they were like, oh, we're here with Meryl, who's giving it everything. I need to put in all of my effort into this.
And now to go back once again, the reason basically why she won an Oscar for this, but Sophie's Choice, probably the most depressing movie you will ever see. Sort of her living with the choice of giving up one of her children by force by the Nazis.
Right.
Or else they were both going to go get put in the gas chamber.
Right.
So,
and also choosing between lovers, choosing between... a woman having to make incredibly life-altering choices during one of the worst times in history, during the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Not a fun tale, really hard stuff
really,
to put on screen. And she is there in it. She puts her whole self into everything that she does, even if it's Miranda Priestley telling jokes and being mean with little catty quips, or literally living through the Holocaust in the middle of it, like facing some of the harshest consequences that happened during the Holocaust. And she does both.
Yeah. And now it's so funny because, like, when you say, oh, it's a real Sophie's Choice, it's sort of like a meme, and you're like, you don't even really get the context.
It's not really funny.
Yeah, it's not. It's
not really like fun thing to say.
She made so much great choices acting-wise that, I mean, she could have just coasted the rest of her life and done like comedies, but she decided not to.
Just continued to grind.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the 70s. We're in 2023.
Yeah.
And Lady's still in stuff.
And now she's about to be in Only Murders in the Building.
Yes.
And last movie, last role, I saved it for last because I think it's the most current, it's still most relevant, is Doubt, which is about basically accusing a priest of molesting children, but you don't know what the actual truth is.
Sure.
And so obviously it's a commentary on cancel culture before it ever became like buzzword or anything like that.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's the way she plays it where it's like, where she thinks she's right even if she's wrong. And the way she plays it is so great because you never really know fully the truth, because both her and Philip Seymour Hoffman, the way they're playing both their roles, you're just like, I don't know who's right.
Right, and that comes down to, I mean, that's the writer and the screenplay, but the fact that she is who she is why people want her for such good scripts like that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, if we could get Meryl Streep,
Yeah.
can you imagine? Like, and because they know that she's going to bring her all and kill it.
Exactly.
So that is the stuff like that. It's like, I'm sure on top of everyone's list for anything, if they're like, wouldn't it be great
and then,
if it was Meryl?
It's like conflicting perspectives where you see Philip Seymour Hoffman being this really nice, gentle priest, and then they cut to Meryl just being a butthead, and you're just like, oh, I don't know. But then and then you see him do some weird stuff, and you're like, well, I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just all comes down to acting at that point.
Yes. My honorable mention, throw this in there, is not a great movie, Into the Woods, because the movie adaptation of it, because like I said, on these other things, she brings, there are people in that movie that aren't great. There are, people have not really enjoyed that interpretation of a Sondheim musical, the way it was portrayed. But you're like, but it's Meryl Streep. Like, she is in it she plays another witch. So, on type, I guess. and singing, so Mama, like Mamma Mia. But I think it's just another example of her elevating something that has things that are not so great, but anytime she is on screen.
So she has carved her own path outside of just like choosing these roles. Like, she's never done like a big James Cameron type movie.
Oh, yeah.
She's not done any blockbusters or anything like that. So to do that for so long, you gotta respect the actress.
Can you put in that gif of her at like the Oscars going, yes!
Un esercito di